So I want to know, growing up for you, man, what were you into that you still kind of have a soft spot for today? Like, what can you tell the audience about you growing up that you're like, wow, I still love that now as an adult?
Well, I still love as an adult. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars. Those were my passions. But I mean, my earliest memories of like nerd stuff that still things today is Power Rangers. That was like my first toys, but I feel nothing for that now. Like I know a lot of guys still kind of collect that, or even the comics are a big deal. But I don't. Yeah, when the Green Ranger died, what was it? I can't remember his name, but I did. I that did kind of hurt me because it was just like, man, that was awful, devastating. But the things that really kind of translate to me for me now is that kind of stuff, Lord of the Rings. But really, see, Star Wars, unfortunately, is kind of dead to me now. It sucks because um, it it died that night when I saw The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
It was over.
Listen, so full transparency, like me growing up as a Star Wars kid, like I was born in 77, so I'm old. But like when I first saw the first trilogy, I was like, I thought it was really cool. I was into it as a kid. I had some of the toys, but when they decided to go back and do the prequels, the first three films, I was not as into it because it was nothing. I don't want to say nothing like the original trilogy, but it varied too much, even though it was a prequel. And that's what bothers me, especially when we talk about movies or something that I loved growing up as a kid. And then they come back to it and it's not the same. That's
Yep.
when it died for me. But you talk about Lord of the Rings. So I'm a Lord of the Rings guy too. Was it just the movies, or was it the toys, or was it the book?
It was both. I was 11 years old. Let's see, The Fellowship came out in 2001, Two Towers 2002, Return of the King 2003, and I remember just counting down the days to go see Two Towers and Return of the King because The Fellowship was just so impactful. It was a property that was not in the public consciousness. My dad had read the books, and we went to go see the movie together. And I mean, that was when I bought all the toys. The toy line for that was incredible. The
Was.
boxes, and that was really the death of toys for me after that, which is really sad because I was 11, 12 years old, and it didn't hit the same. I mean, I had those toys; they were my favorite toys, but it was I started outgrowing it. And then we talked about Star Wars. See, in 1999, I was 9 years old, so I was the same age as Anakin. 2001 Harry Potter. I was 11. Like I was the same age as these child characters. So that's why it hits so much harder and differently for me. And then the toys, I mean, the Star Wars, that was when I knew I was a nerd. That's when I knew that I was doing stuff. Like I liked this a lot more than other kids. Like I knew I was different, and what would lead to all this shit behind me where it's just I it meant more to me than other people. It wasn't just a movie, it was my imagination, it was my experiences, it was those toys were important. It allowed me to tell my own story. And I that was kind of, I guess that's my answer. But
So you make a great point because you described that perfectly, because I felt the same way as a kid. Even though we're talking about Lord of the Rings, I was an adult already when that line came out, and I was an adult already when those movies came out. And I remember seeing all of them in the
Mhm.
theater, but like when Return of the King came out, man, I was like on the edge of my seat the entire film. I cried at the end of that one. It was just unbelievable. And right out, you're talking about the toys that you grew up collecting, but you were 9 years old or whatever you were. I was an adult, and I was doing the same thing as an adult, going out looking for those toys. I'd be hitting Toys R Us up while that was still around. It's not around anymore, but Toys R Us, I'd go online looking for some of those toys, and Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store back in the day. And that was my like introduction as an adult to these online toy stores, because I didn't know about any of this shit. I knew about the characters like you talked about. I knew about how those movies and how other movies in the toy line made me feel as a, the person that I am now. And that's why I hate to say it, but that's what this channel is like really about, is about, I think everybody who either collects something, whether it be comics, whether it be toys, whether it be about, nostalgia, video games, like it's all about like how those things made you feel the first time you saw them, right?
Hmm. For sure. And there's core memories. Like there's a picture of me. I have all those Lord of the Rings toys out. And this was a really special day because my mom always told me, she was like, one of these days you're going to wake up and you're not going to have to go to school that day. And I'm going to let you do whatever you want. We went to the bowling alley. We went to the arcade. And the first thing I did, I got up and I played with those Lord of the Rings toys. I mean, that's a core memory. Lord of the Rings is very special to me. And it's one of those things. It captured everybody. And I mean, you talking about excited about Return of the King, edge of your seat, because you probably weren't like, hey, let me go read the books. It was like, it was just like, I want to know what happens on the big screen. But like, to be an adult collecting those toys, I mean, that was the zeitgeist, because to my understanding, even in 99 with the episode 1, the fever pitch was crazy. I don't know how it translates compared to now, because it seems like the only people that are buying toys are people like us.
Adults.
Yeah. Children aren't buying that. So I wonder, because I mean, it was everybody. If it was adults and kids, I mean, they must have been doing gangbusters, man.
You went to school, you went to college, you're now an adult, you have your profession, you got married, you got kids, but what brought you back as an adult,
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, because I was preparing this answer, because this is something I haven't really ever talked about, where I lost my nerddom. Like when I went to high school, I kind of forsaked this part of my life, because like I started racing like dirt bikes. I started doing, I started dating girls. Like I wanted to be one of the cool kids. Like I didn't realize how important all of this stuff was to me. And, even in like undergrad and dental school and doing like, the big boy stuff, the stuff you're supposed to do, this could have all been a part of my life even then. And what really kind of got me back in my nerd life was Magic the Gathering, the card game, where it was like, this would have been 2012. And I was like, holy shit, I want to be a nerd again. Like this, I was always a nerd, but I wanted to get back into the nerd stuff. I didn't have any money to collect. Like, I mean, when I first started seeing the statues and the comics and stuff, that's only when I started getting money. The first things I bought when I first got a little bit of money was Super Nintendo video games, because I wanted to put that back together. And I did that. And thank God I did it when I did, because it was relatively cheap, way cheaper than it is now. But it was just, it was basically, I'm trying to piece back together what I had, which I think most of us are trying to do. But it's like I lost my nerddom, and I wish I didn't. But then again, if I kept with that, maybe I turn into one of these commenting basement dwelling trolls and become that, because I talk a lot of shit about those people. And, because they're not thriving. Like a lot of these folks are not doing well. And I'm glad that my nerddom didn't become my identity, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So you brought up a good point, because I do think it's really good for people to kind of take a break once in a while. Like, and I think I did the same thing around probably your same age. When you get to those teen years, the girls start popping up. And I hate to use this kind of language. It's just how I am. Maybe people don't know me, but the power of the pussy there, when you get to be a teenager, I hate to be an asshole, but it's just what it is. The hormones kick in. Mine kicked in all the way straight through college, until I got out of college and started working. And then it kind of was like, oh, you know what? I remember this, I remember that. And it just, tugs at those heartstrings, and you're like, oh, you know what? I want to go pick up the toys. I want to get into the comics again. I want to start doing all these things, and kind of explodes from there.
Well,
You
you're
know?
a sports guy too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the sports has always been a big part of my life. And in high school, I mean, I'm watching all the leagues. I mean, I'm watching NBA, I'm watching NFL, I'm memorizing names, memorizing statistics, who plays for who. And then it starts getting into fantasy football and stuff. And it's like, you know, I feel like there should be more crossover with sports in this, because it is like a power fantasy as well. But I didn't get the fulfillment. See, so many of those jocks, they got that fulfillment by following sports that I wasn't getting. Like I loved it, but it wasn't enough. Like I wanted my Star Wars back. I wanted my Lord of the Rings back. I wanted my Harry Potter back. I wanted my Super Nintendo back. Like those things, Dragon Ball Z, like those things were so important. And no, it seemed like everybody I was surrounded with, see, I had no community. There was nobody. That's why this is so awesome, because I'm finding everyone where we do exist, and we were out there, and there was a lot more of us than we thought, but it was not cool. Like when you're 16 years old and you're taking some girl out, you're not, I mean, I remember taking, dude, I had my first real girlfriend, bro. I had X-Wing freaking fighters, pod racers hung up with fishing line, like 40-year-old virgin shit. And I had no shame. I had no shame, because that was what I wanted. Like those were
Yeah.
my things. But then as I'm bringing her in there, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should have a little bit of shame, because
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, this is a bad look. But I was a fool, because that was important to me.
Yeah. Listen, I like, your priorities change when you get to a certain age. Your priorities change, and I totally understand, because we all go through it. I used to have Spider-Man swinging across my room with, like, I would use the web from like a Halloween webbing to decorate the house, and it'd be Spider-Man. I'd use the web on, tie it to his wrist, tie one end over there, one end over there, and he'd just be hanging there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question. What did the girl think? Did she say anything to you when she walked in the room? Like, what the hell is going on here?
She had a PT Cruiser, and her license
Oh
plate
my
was
God.
flame on, like the Human Torch.
Oh, she sounds
And
awesome.
she was awesome. She's not so much anymore. Best wishes. She broke my heart. Oh God. But she's doing her own thing. But it was she thought it was cool, and it was like this. Oh my God! Thank God. But I have honestly, my wife has been very supportive. 15 years we've been together. She's been very supportive of my nerddom. I can't imagine the people that don't have supportive significant others with this stuff. Like I truly think it's part of who we are. And if you don't have somebody that supports that, you're in a wrong relationship, in my opinion.
Uh, I agree 100%. I mean, it is very tough, especially if you're married, to kind of buy some of the stuff we have around us and not have that support. But I was going to ask that question. What does your wife think of the whole collecting thing? Because that is a big issue I hear from other collectors as well. But I'm glad to hear she's supportive of it.
Well, we have our own income. Like it's, she makes her money, I make my money, no, I'm not asking permission to buy a $4,000 thing. Like and she's not asking my permission to buy what she wants. Like it's not, I hear people say that and I'm like, shit, like it just sounds like a divorce waiting to happen.
Yeah. See, it's
So
funny. It's funny you say that, because me and my wife are the same thing. I got married late. I got married like in my late 30s. So um, we do the same thing. We like, I have my money, she has her money. We combine stuff for certain things, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier, where you just kind of I don't want to say do your own thing, because that makes it sound awful, but like, you know what? You don't have to worry about it. You trust each other enough to do the right thing, and just go from there.
yep. Yeah, and I think we are both very fortunate in that regard. I don't think many, because I think a lot of people end up single because this stuff takes precedence over their love life or their normal human relationships. And I mean, like that's kind of scary. And I mean, I have been that way in my life, specifically with video games before. And you can kind of see those gears of addiction where, well, I don't want to go because I want to go play whatever over going out and experiencing real life. And, I can fall back into that very easily, but I fight against that. That's why Magic the Gathering, I bring that up again, is because it got me out of the house. It got me into a nerd community where I felt seen. I felt like the things that I liked, other people liked that were not normal, counterculture, I say. I really enjoyed that. And that competitiveness, I'm a competitive person. So that was good for me.
Yeah. Well, while I'm familiar with Magic the Gathering, I never played it, so I don't know how the game works, but I could totally see like I've gone to like there's a card place and they have toys and they have like in the back room they have this giant, either I don't know if they use it for Magic the Gathering, they use it for like, other role playing events, but it's a giant like freaking space with all these tables set up. So always to have like events in there, ton of people there. So I could see how it would be a total blast.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's you put your pride aside, because some of the people in there not I'm not doing as well as others, and you don't look at that like that. Like the person you're playing against, you are so in. And that's why, see, that's the difference between comics and that. It's like when I'm playing Magic the Gathering and I'm sitting across from somebody, I don't care what color they are. I don't care what their sexual orientation is. I don't care if they're single or divorced or they're broke or they're rich. It's like we're playing this game, and we're in this right now, and it separates the real world, and I love that. And I feel like comics and other collectibles and the toys and the statues and stuff, it's like a dick comparing contest where there's no like the only competition. And see, I'm competitive. The only competition in that is whose Hulk 181 is better, who has these keys. And man, that is the wrong way to do this. I fell victim to that for a while, because it was like I started getting the CGC stuff and the grades, and it was like, well, I want a grade bump, and I want this, and I want that. And that's not what this is. It's a non-competitive collecting form. But all of my nerddom, like from video games, to when I was playing sports or when I was doing motocross and stuff in high school, like every part of my life, as far as hobbies, it became like competitive. So why wouldn't it have translated into YouTube? Why wouldn't it have translated into nerddom? It just happens.
You brought up something earlier, which you hinted at, but I wanted to ask you anyway. I heard you mention SNES. So I'm a big video game guy. For anybody who watches my recent videos, I grew up with the NES, Atari 2600, the Super Nintendo. Was that your favorite system?
Yeah, it was. I remember that was the first system I ever got, was an SNES. We had a computer, and I would play StarCraft, RTS, and that was when I knew. My first game I ever got was Ren and Stimpy, Vidiots, and Super Mario World, and that was enough.
Yeah.
And then the computer with the StarCraft, Warcraft, the RTS genre, because I love army. Like I love soldiers. I love big armies clashing. Then Lord of the Rings. I mean, it was a perfect storm.
Did you have an N64 as well?
Yeah, that was my biggest game collection. I went crazy on the N64, and man, I was buying new games. Like I had the boxes, threw away the boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, I sold that whole collection. I had the big games. I had Worms Armageddon. Like I had the ones that were like rare games. Clay Fighters. Dude, I had all of that shit. And that's one of my biggest regrets. because
Selling.
I would sell to buy the next system.
Yeah. That's what
And
everybody did. Well, like that was like the big time for like you could trade in your games, trade in your system, and get cash towards whatever else was coming out. I think we all did that, and we all regret it.
yeah, yeah, the video games, that's really the nostalgia hit for me. I know I keep bringing up comics because I mean that's the link we have.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have that for comics. Like when I see like a 90s McFarlane cover, that doesn't tickle my bits. Like that doesn't hit. Like, but when I hear like Command and Conquer, that music, I'm like, oh shit, I'm 7 years old again. Like that.
Yeah.
So I respect what that does for other people like comics and stuff, because I can't imagine having that for comics. That would be really, really cool.
If you'd like to become a sponsor here on the Mighty Rewind podcast, make sure you reach out at the Mighty Rewind podcast at gmail.com.